Across the corridors of time, hidden within the cryptic writings of alchemists and sages, there is a secret so profound that it has been cloaked in allegory, whispered only to those deemed worthy. They called it the philosopher's fire, a force so potent that it was said to hold the power of transmutation. But this was never about turning lead into gold in a way the uninitiated imagined. No, this fire speaks of something far greater, something far more dangerous to those who wish to keep humanity bound in ignorance. What if I told you that the philosopher's fire is not an element of the physical world, but a sacred force lying dormant within you? A hidden power that, once kindled, could burn away illusion, reshape your very essence, and elevate you beyond the confines of ordinary existence. For centuries, this knowledge was guarded in secrecy, buried beneath metaphors, concealed in symbols, and shrouded in mystery. The Rosicrucians, the Hermeticists, the Gnostic masters all spoke of a divine flame, a celestial spark within the soul. But why was this wisdom obscured? And what happens when one dares to awaken it? In this journey, we will delve into the forgotten teachings of the ancients, decipher the esoteric codes hidden in sacred texts, and reveal why the philosopher's fire is the missing key to unlocking the deepest chambers of your consciousness. But be warned, this is not a path for the faint of heart. For to grasp the truth of the sacred fire is to stand before the threshold of transformation. And once you step through, there is no turning back. Are you ready to unveil the secret that has been hidden in plain sight for millennia? Fire has always been more than just an element. It is an ancient symbol of creation and destruction, of illumination and purification. In nearly every mystical tradition, fire represents the bridge between the material and the divine. But what did the alchemists truly mean when they spoke of the philosopher's fire? To understand this, we must journey back to Egypt, the arcane halls of antiquity, where the priests of Thoth safeguarded the secrets of transformation. They spoke of an inner fire, a celestial force that could refine the soul just as earthly fire refines metal. The Greeks, too, preserved this wisdom. Heraclitus, the enigmatic philosopher, declared that fire is the arca, the primordial principle from which all things arise and to which all must return. The Stoics, following his lead, believed that a divine fire, the pneuma, infused the cosmos, animating life itself. Then came the alchemists of the Middle Ages, veiling their knowledge beneath layers of metaphor. The lapis philosophorum, the philosopher's stone, was not a literal object, but a symbol of spiritual enlightenment. The fire they spoke of was not the fire of furnaces, but the inner flame of transmutation, the sacred force that burns away impurity and reveals the golden essence of the soul. But why did they hide this knowledge? Why were their teachings cloaked in secrecy, their texts filled with cryptic allegories? The answer lies in power. The philosopher's fire is not something that can be given to the unprepared. To wield it is to shatter illusions, to dissolve the false self, to break free from the chains of conditioned reality. And in an age where power was hoarded by the few, such knowledge was deemed dangerous. Those who sought to awaken this fire were persecuted, their works condemned, their wisdom buried beneath the sands of time. Yet echoes of this sacred fire persist. In the traditions of the East, the Hindus speak of Agni, the divine flame that carries offerings to the gods. And in yogic practices, the Kundalini serpent, coiled at the base of the spine, is said to be the primal fire waiting to rise. In the mystical teachings of the Kabbalists, the Or Haganuz, the hidden light, is said to be a fire of divine wisdom concealed from the profane. Even in the Christian tradition, the Pentecostal tongues of fire symbolize the descent of the Holy Spirit, an awakening of the divine within. The question now is not whether this fire exists, but whether you are ready to ignite it within yourself. For the philosopher's fire is not a mere concept. It is a living force waiting to be claimed. The philosopher's fire is not a mere metaphor, nor is it limited to ancient myths and allegories. It is an ever-present force woven into the fabric of existence itself. But to grasp its true meaning, one must look beyond the physical flame and into the hidden nature of fire itself. Fire is both a destroyer and a purifier. It consumes, yet it also refines. This paradox is the key to understanding why the alchemists held it in such reverence. To them, fire was not just an element. It was the sacred agent of transformation, a force that could transmute the ordinary into the extraordinary. But what exactly was being transmuted? The alchemists spoke of prima materia, the raw, unrefined substance from which the philosopher's stone was to be created. Many misunderstood this as a physical material, but in truth, it was symbolic of the human soul in its unawakened state. The fire was the great test, the trial by flame that would either destroy or elevate the seeker. It was a process known as calcinatio, the burning away of all that is false, all that is impure, until only the essence remains. This same principle is found in nearly every mystical tradition. The ancient Egyptian initiates underwent arduous rites of purification before they could receive the secrets of the gods. In the Vedic traditions, the fire god Agni was invoked to cleanse the spirit, to burn away karma, and prepare the soul for higher knowledge. The Hermeticists, following the wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus, knew that to wield the higher fire, one must first master the fire within, conquering the passions, the illusions, the false self. But how does this fire manifest within us? The answer lies in energy. Every human being carries a dormant fire, an untapped source of power that, if awakened, can lead to profound transformation. The yogis call this fire Kundalini, a serpent of energy coiled at the base of the spine, waiting to rise. When ignited, it travels upward through the chakras, burning away blockages, illuminating the mind, and expanding consciousness. The Sufis, too, speak of this fire, not as a literal flame, but as the burning intensity of divine love, the mystical longing that consumes the false self and leaves only union with the divine. The Gnostics, persecuted for their hidden knowledge, describe the pleroma, the fullness of divine light, as an all-consuming flame that dissolves ignorance and reveals truth. This is the true philosopher's fire, the inner alchemy of transformation, the burning away of the illusions that keep us bound to the material world. It is a process of death and rebirth, of sacrifice and renewal. The self that enters the flame is not the self that emerges. But here lies the danger. Not all who seek this fire are ready for it. Some approach it with greed, desiring power without purification, seeking knowledge without wisdom. And for them, the fire is not a blessing, but a curse. It is the consuming flame of hubris, the inferno of unbridled ambition. This is why so many ancient texts warn of the dangers of unprepared initiation, why the secrets of alchemy were hidden beneath symbols, reserved only for those who had proven themselves worthy. Yet, for those who are ready, for those who walk the path of purification and understanding, the fire is the greatest gift. It is the light of transformation, the forge of the soul, the secret key to awakening the divine within. But what is the next step? How does one take this raw understanding and begin to apply it? That is where we must journey next, into the deeper mysteries, the hidden mechanisms of transmutation itself. If the philosopher's fire is the force of transmutation, then what exactly is being transformed? What is its true purpose beyond metaphor and mysticism? To understand this, we must first recognize a profound truth. Fire does not create, it reveals. It does not impose something new upon the material. It simply strips away the dross, leaving behind only what is essential. This is the secret of all genuine spiritual alchemy. The goal is not to become something different, but to awaken to what you have always been. The ancient alchemists encoded this truth within their cryptic texts and obscure symbols. They spoke of the burning away of impurities, of the dissolution and recombination of elements, of the quest for the philosopher's stone. But the uninitiated misunderstood. They searched for gold in matter, not realizing the real transmutation was within themselves. The true goal was never physical. It was consciousness itself. This is the secret fire that the sages protected so fiercely, the wisdom that was hidden in plain sight. It is the fire of enlightenment, the force that separates truth from illusion, the light that dispels darkness. And those who wield it, truly wield it, become something more than human. But here lies the paradox. The fire that purifies also consumes. It has the power to illuminate, but it can also destroy. This is why in nearly every esoteric tradition there is a warning. To touch the fire without preparation is to invite ruin. The fallen sorcerers of legend, the seekers who burned too quickly, the mystics who glimpsed the divine but were consumed by its intensity, these stories are not mere fables. They are cautionary tales, echoes of a truth that spans civilizations. Fire must be kindled gradually. The inner transmutation must unfold in stages, lest the vessel crack under the force of the flame. This is why initiates were subjected to rigorous trials before they were entrusted with deeper knowledge. In the mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and beyond, students were tested, not for their intelligence alone, but for their purity of heart, clarity of mind, and strength of spirit. Those who sought power for its own sake, who approached the mysteries with arrogance or greed, found only misfortune. Even today, the fire tests us. It comes in the form of challenges, hardships, and inner conflicts. Each trial is a crucible, burning away illusions, forging resilience, preparing us for the next step. If one resists this process, if one clings to the old self, refusing to let go, then the fire becomes suffering. But if one surrenders, if one allows the flames to do their work, then something miraculous occurs. The ego dissolves, the false self burns away, and the soul emerges refined, purified, awakened. This is the true meaning of the phoenix, the bird of fire that is consumed in its own flames only to rise anew. It is not merely a symbol of rebirth, it is the very blueprint of spiritual evolution. But here is the greatest secret of all. The philosopher's fire is not something external. It does not come from the outside, nor is it granted by some distant force. It has always been within you. The divine spark, The hidden ember of transformation resides in every soul waiting to be kindled. It is the source of inspiration, the whisper of intuition, the drive toward greater understanding. It is why humanity has always sought meaning beyond the material world, why the mystics of every age have spoken of an inner light that, once awakened, reveals the truth of existence itself. But awakening this fire is not a passive process. It requires intention, discipline, and the willingness to endure the heat of transformation. It demands that we let go of falsehoods, that we embrace the unknown, that we step beyond the limits of who we think we are and into the vastness of what we truly are. And so we arrive at the inevitable question: how does one engage with this fire consciously? How does one harness it, cultivate it, and allow it to illuminate the path ahead without being consumed by its intensity? That is where we turn next, to the practical application of this ancient wisdom, to the ways in which one can begin the alchemical process within one's own life. If the philosopher's fire is the force of transmutation, then how do we wield it consciously? How do we engage with this sacred flame, allowing it to refine rather than consume us? The key lies in understanding that this fire has always burned within you. It is not something you must seek outside yourself. It is something you must awaken, tend, and master. And to do so, you must engage in the threefold process that every true alchemist has undertaken: purification, illumination, and integration. Before one can harness the power of transformation, one must first clear away the obstructions that prevent it. The fire cannot transmute what is still encrusted in falsehoods, distractions, and lower vibrations. This initial stage, purification, is about cleansing the mind, body, and spirit. It begins with radical self-awareness, an honest observation of what beliefs, attachments, or fears are keeping you bound. What aspects of your ego resist change? Through journaling and deep meditation, the hidden layers of conditioning begin to reveal themselves and, like dry kindling, become ready to burn. Ancient traditions understood that fasting and detoxification were not merely physical practices, but sacred tools for spiritual purification. By lightening the body, one becomes more receptive to higher frequencies of consciousness. Fire does not suppress, it consumes. Suppressed emotions, unresolved wounds, and stagnant energies must be faced and released. Breathwork, energy healing, and cathartic movement are all ways to let go of what no longer serves. To wield the fire, one must first become light enough to hold it, for the burdened soul cannot soar. Once the barriers are removed, the flame within can be kindled. This is the phase of illumination, where awareness expands beyond the ordinary and glimpses of a greater reality begin to emerge. Through meditative visualization, imagine a flame at the center of your being, growing brighter with each breath, purifying thought, energizing spirit, and revealing hidden truths. The more attention given to this inner fire, the more palpable it becomes. Chanting mantras like *OM*, or *Lux, Invicta*, taps into the vibrational nature of reality, awakening the sacred frequencies that stoke the inner flame. Rituals involving candlelight, sun gazing, or fire gazing deepen this communion. Fire, when approached with reverence, begins to speak in visions, synchronicities, and dreams. Keep a journal of these symbols and messages, for they are the whispers of illumination. As the inner flame grows stronger, a shift begins. The old self dissolves, and a new perception dawns. This is the path of the illuminated ones, the light bearers, fire keepers, and torch bearers of wisdom. But illumination alone is not enough. Without grounding, one may become consumed by the very force meant to empower. Thus comes the final stage, integration. True transformation is not about escaping the world, but mastering it. Here, the fire becomes not just a source of insight, but a force of creation. The alchemist, no longer just a seeker, learns to transmute reality itself. Every action, every word becomes intentional, refined by the fire. One begins to move through life with purpose, speaking truth, becoming a silent force of transformation. Whatever is created, whether art, writing, healing, or teaching, should be infused with the fire of your spirit. This is the true alchemy, bringing the unseen into form, manifesting vision into matter. And just as fire spreads from one torch to another, so too does your presence affect those around you. Share wisdom, uplift others, and let your being radiate light. To embody the fire is to become a living beacon. And yet, mastery is not in constant blaze. It lies in understanding the rhythm of the flame. Fire burns in cycles, with moments of fierce intensity and quiet stillness. Learn to flow with this rhythm, to know when to burn brightly and when to let the embers smolder. In this balance, true mastery is found. The philosopher's fire is not merely something to understand, it is something to become. It is not a relic of forgotten traditions. It is alive, waiting to be rekindled in those who are ready. And so, the final question remains. Will you allow yourself to burn? Will you step into the fire, not as one who fears it, but as one who is ready to wield it? Fire. It is both a destroyer and a creator, a force feared and revered throughout the ages. To those who resist it, it is an unrelenting force of chaos. But to those who understand its true nature, it is the key to transformation, enlightenment, and ultimate mastery. The philosopher's fire is not an abstract symbol locked away in ancient texts. It is alive within you. It is the burning force that calls you to shed illusion, to awaken, and to step into your true power. It is the same fire that has guided mystics, sages, and seekers across time, whispering its eternal secret. To be reborn, one must first burn. But here's the paradox. The fire does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. The false self, the conditioned mind, the layers of limitation, these are what burn away. What remains is something untouchable, something immortal, the purified soul, the true philosopher's gold. So now the question is no longer theoretical. It is personal. It is direct. Will you embrace the fire? Will you allow yourself to be transmuted, to rise from the ashes of the old self into something greater? Or will you, like so many before, retreat from the heat, clinging to the comfort of the known? The choice has always been yours. But know this, the fire waits for no one. It burns eternally, calling to those who are ready. And if you have made it this far, then perhaps, just perhaps, it has already chosen you. Are you ready to step into the fire?